Hello. This is going to be a hopefully pretty quick breakdown of the F1 sound design passbys that I recently made. The first source material is one yoga mat being scraped over another yoga mat with a contact microphone underneath it. And this is what it sounds like without any processing. So this is the cleaning, buffing up sort of effects chain that I have that I use on all my sound effects, and I'm just gonna quickly show you what the presets are and let you hear it with it being on. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of compression going on here to just juice everything up. There's some OTT to squeeze everything a little more, and a decapitator in this case to just add a little bit more harmonics. So this is what it sounds like with the chain that's being used. Moving on. This is another yoga mat being dragged over the same yoga mat, but this time it's recorded with a shotgun microphone. And this is what it sounds like without any processing. And the processing chain is pretty much the same as the previous one that I showed you. The only difference is that it's being pushed a little more with uber loud. All right, this is what it sounds like with the processing chain on now. Much zippier, much more aggressive. This is the same yoga mat as we just heard, but it's been normalized with additional processing that I'm going to show you in a second. So obviously much louder, more aggressive, and this is the processing that I applied to it. You can see a little bit of delay and decapitator and micro shift just to expand the sound and make it a little bit different. The stereo field is much wider here. I did not end up using the vintage verb, but I did use some frequency echo. Gives it some kind of like a phasing sound. Pretty interesting. I'm using the expander to add a little bit more harmonics and I guess to add some stereo clarity back to this. And exciter to add a little more harmonics and make it sound even more aggressive. The next bit of sound is just a drill with, different takes for the engine sound. You get the point. Pretty much same processing chain as before. This is what it sounds like with that. It's much more aggressive and maybe a little bit sharp on its own, but in the context of Tonstrom Whoosh, which we're going to put this into later on, it works pretty well, I think. So pretty unpleasant on its own, you could tell, obviously. Sorry about that. Now, this, I'd say, is the most important sound of the F1 passbys because it kind of emulates that whining tonal sound of the engine. And this is a wooden recorder that I couldn't play for my life, but I managed to get like a single tone out of it, which was very useful. That already kind of sounds like a passby on its own. And with the processing, it's... And the last bit that I recorded was my air conditioner with a contact microphone to add a little low end and some kind of engine rumble to the passbys. And this is what it sounds like without processing. With processing, it's pretty much the same chain again. Fantastic. All right, now to the design portion. I used Tonstrom Whoosh, obviously, to create the whooshbys, and just playing around with different speeds, different settings. But these are the main passbys that I generated and layered in a bunch of others on top, which I'm going to show you later. All right, let's just hear these. So these are the other parts that I generated using tones from Whoosh, just to add a little bit of flavor and weight to those passbys and realism, without processing. These other smaller, kind of more impactful whooshes sound like so. And with Berserker, just to have it be more aggressive and sounding like an actual engine struggling at like super high RPMs, 10 or 11,000, compared to like everyday like driving cars. Makes it a little bit dirtier sounding, a little less clarity, but I think it kind of glues everything together once you hear the whole mix. These are just more whoosh bys with different speeds and a bit of different settings. Moving on. So this is one of the main whoosh bys that I talked about at first, which is kind of like the body of them. This just has Decapitator and Devilock, again to add a little bit more dirt and realism, and so not to have these whoosh bys sound so clean and sterile, to put them in a pretty aggressive environment. So this is without the effects. This is what it sounds like with effects. To add some extra sweeteners, what I did was just use the processed files of the Yogamat zippies, and they're just layered in with those other big whooshes to add some weight. This is what they sound like. Oh yeah, and there's Doppler just to add some movement and more realism to it. As you could tell, by themselves, not very pleasant to hear. And, you know, for extra realism, I had to add like little noisy ambiences just to simulate the world realism of the track. Because by itself, you know, the whooshes sounded a little bit out of place. Nothing crazy, just steady ambiences. And all together with the video, it sounds like so.